and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics for the starting video of December scheduling and week 1 being spin-off week. By the title of the video, I'm going to be going through an introduction of the spin-offs created by the wonderful Big Finish. It does not feel a long time since I did this in 2014, and now a year concluding for the channel. So yeah, if you don't know what December scheduling, if you missed the update video, I'm going to be doing like a celebration to end 2015 with big weeks for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 and week 5. It was really 4.5 weeks, but I'm just going to call that week 5. So yeah, for this video I am looking at all the Big Finish spin-offs, and in this video I'm going to put my personal opinions and views on all the Big Finish spin-offs. Now I'm quite new to Big Finish's spin-off range, and I wish I entered it a long time ago, as when I began my Big Finish journey I started with all the Doctor Who stuff. It seems the most common way of starting your Big Finish journey as Doctor Who is their biggest range. But I can say straight away that the Big Finish spin-offs are some of the best produced work ever. There's so much fantastic stuff within the spin-off ranges. I've experienced one of them which I'm just having a blast and a thrill going through, which is Jago and Lightfoot, probably one of the most consistent and brilliant Big Finish ranges I have ever experienced. When I get Series 1, I just want to get Series 2, then Series 3 and carry on. The range is so addicting, and now I really want to branch out with the spin-offs. So yeah, I really wish I got into the Big Finish spin-offs a lot earlier, because there's so many others which I haven't got into yet. Gallifrey, which I'm meaning to get into for quite a while now. When I finish Jago and Lightfoot, that will definitely be next, like political stories, that's my cup of tea. And the Davros series, I don't know if you know, I'm doing an overview on that series as I did pick it up. It's £16 on the Big Finish website. Why would you say no to that? So in this video I'm going to be covering my opinions on the Big Finish ranges, or spin-off ranges, going through in order. Beneath Summerfield, I'm going to go through Countermeasures, Dalek Empire, Cyberman series, Sarah Jane, etc, etc. There's a load of them. There's only going to be a handful of them, the ones I'm really interested in, I want to get into sometime soon. I'm going to go into detail with them and my personal views on them. And the other ones I'll just speak briefly on, such as Torchwood for example. I'm not too much fond of Torchwood, kill me if you want to. So I'll briefly talk about it at least, not just throw it into the shadows and not talk about it. So first things first, I'm going to be talking about Beneath Summerfield. Now it's good I'm talking first about Beneath Summerfield, as this is how I got into the spin-off ranges which Big Finish have created with the New Adventures of Beneath Summerfield Volume 1. Now I've known Beneath Summerfield for a very long time, not Big Finish, but with the books, the Virgin books. So I'm very familiar with her character, and it was going to be a really good thrill to listen to her on Big Finish. And it's played by the amazing Lisa Bowerman, who is an absolutely fantastic actress, one of my favourite actresses for Big Finish, extremely versatile, and the performances are always to the max, absolutely perfect.
Right, I've got it. Having considered all our options...
Yes?
Leggett?
The Great Leader. Could it have done this?
Oh, this isn't something small. This is world-changing. This took a massive amount of power.
Now, Beneath Summerfield, that started way back when, in the beginning of Big Finish, when they were founded. Big Finish were founded in 1966, and in September 1998 we had an adaptation from one of the Virgin books on the Beneath Summerfield line called Oh No It Isn't, and they have a huge range of Beneath Summerfield single releases. Now I have to admit, this huge range, because there's so many single releases, I'm a little bit afraid to enter this range because there's so many of them, and some of them don't really intrigue me. I'm more interested in the box sets really, when they rebooted Beneath Summerfield rather than the single releases. Don't get me wrong, there's still some of them which are really grabbing my attention, such as Just War for example, and the one featuring the Sea Devils, or Poison Sea I think it is. That one quite intrigues me because we haven't had a Sea Devils audio. Yeah, I'm quite distant away from the single releases because I am a collector and there is quite a lot. Maybe I won't dive into them right now. Maybe in the future. It's just quite a lot of them. But the box sets is what really intrigues me as I started with the New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield Volume 1. But I'm talking about the ones before now, not featuring the 7th Doctor. But yeah, there's 2 of them, I believe, which is like 5 discs, like 5 stories, which is pretty incredible. And they did one on offer, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I wish I did get that. I'm yet to enter the box sets just with Bernice Summerfield on her own. I've only got releases with Bernice Summerfield with the Doctor, such as audio adaptions, like the ones I just ordered not too long ago, The Theatre of War and All Consuming Fire. I like to have a Bernice Summerfield audio completely on her own and the Doctor not in it. And the only real one I've really had of that is Goodnight Sweet Ladies from the box set, and as well The Pyramid of Sutekh. And her character speaks to herself quite a lot, and it doesn't drag. And that's quite difficult for actresses and actors to achieve, as it sometimes feels very monotonous and tedious, but not with Bernice Summerfield, as the dialogue works and fits the character so well. It is a joy to listen to her, even if she's just talking to herself about 15 minutes, going around the pyramid. The only really big taste I've had of Bernice Summerfield is the New Adventures line. I liked Volume 1, but I wouldn't really get it if you're not a big fan of Bernice Summerfield, as she is. Well, look at the box set, it's named after her. The Doctor is not going to be the centre of attention, it's going to be Bernice Summerfield. Same thing can be said with Volume 2. If you don't like the character, then don't pick it up. Yeah, my conclusion on this range, if you have not dived in the Bernice Summerfield ranges with novel adaptations coming up, standalone stories, of single releases, and New Adventures, box sets, or even the Virgin books as well, check them out, as Bernice Summerfield is a fantastic character. If you don't like her, fair enough, but if you really like the character, then you're just going to have a thrill. Yeah, that was Bernice Summerfield range. I hope I've intrigued you or interested you to pick a one up or something. If you still don't like the character, then fair enough, just avoid the range. Simple. Now I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about countermeasures, as it was ending on Series 4, but now we've got some new releases sparking up, and I've been a little bit interested in this range. It's from Remembrance of the Daleks, these characters, and that's a very, very well loved story. It's not one of my personal favourites. I do find it a little overrated. You can kill me if you want to again. I have had a little taste of the countermeasures in the Wills of Doctor Who set, with the Racina process, with the main villain being Mr. Reese in all 4 of the stories. I've only listened to that story once and I can't really remember it at all. I did have a taste of these characters. I thought they were alright. I think I need to have a bit more for them to judge them just yet.
You hoping to track down some aliens?
Gilmore, there's something behind that glass, breathing smoke.
Someone or something is trying to contact us from whatever lies behind that threshold.
Somebody stop it talking!
So it is alien.
Yeah, we've had 4 box sets from them so far, and it's been a good range for some. It hasn't really been a sparking or a standout one for many. I think it really gets a bit overshadowed by Jago and Lightfoot, because it's always consistently bringing out new box sets, and that just concluded Countermeasures in 2015 actually. So yeah, I think it gets rather overshadowed by Jago and Lightfoot and Gallifrey, as they do look more appealing and interesting spin-off. But yeah, they're doing a reboot now, like a new series. They've got one coming out in May, like a £15 one, like a special release. That quite interests me. And they have the reboot in December with another box set. I think it's just titled The New Series of Countermeasures or something like that, in December 2016, which is a while, absolutely a long way away. So yeah, if you love Remembrance of the Daleks and those characters featured in it, then this is a range you should check out. I'm looking into picking up Series 1 maybe, or that special release in May for £15. I think that might be quite a nice start, but I have to wait and see on this range. Next one I'm going to be talking about is Dalek Empire.
The invasion of the Daleks has begun!
They came screaming out of the skies, gunning down anyone who wasn't fast enough to get out of the way.
Now this spin-off range was actually built up in the Doctor Who's monthly range, again way back when, and it started out with The Genocide Machine, the 7th release in the monthly range featuring the 7th Doctor. And then we had part 2, the Apocalypse Elements, and then part 3, the Mutant Phase, and then ended on Time of the Daleks, which then led into Dalek Empire. I haven't listened to any of these stories, and they sort of connect quite loosely, so I don't really know how it connects all the stories together and then into Dalek Empire, as I haven't listened to any of the story. From what people say, Dalek Empire, with all the series on its own, is very diversified, with Series 1 being very good, Series 2 taking a dip with a lot of people, Series 3 back in action, then Series 4 completely different and diverse to the other series within the spin-off range. I think I remember that Series 3 and Series 4 was like a huge gap or something like that. I can't remember the actual gap or the years, but I remember it being quite big. That's why Series 4 was so diverse and different than the previous series within the range. Does this range intrigue me? Well, no, I haven't really been thinking about this one too much, as well I've had no build up to it or anything like that, as I haven't listened to any of the Dalek Empire monthly range stories building up to it. And it also has David Tennant in it as well. I think he's in Series 2 or Series 3 playing some character. Yeah, David Tennant did quite a lot of stuff back in the early days of Big Finish. Cold It, Sympathy for the Devil, Unit, I think he did something, and also Dalek Empire. With the big massive Dalek Empire, we have the very small but sweet, I will say, the Cyberman series. This range does quite intrigue me a little bit, and it looks like a very nice spin-off series. Also, it has Series 2, which it's crazy to get the box set. It's very difficult to get a hold of, so they just, on the website, it's just like £20 as a download. The range does intrigue me. I think it like sort of interlinks with Kingdom of Silver, a monthly range story. I'm interested in what that is all about. I know nothing, I have no knowledge on the Cyberman series, but it does intrigue me what people say about it and the trailers and all that. Next range I'm going to be talking about and putting my personal views on is the magnificent and ginormous range, which again I really need to get into, the Gallifrey series, and this one started a long time ago as well. Way back when this came out, it looked like it was one of the most successful Big Finish ranges, constantly getting out new releases. They started with single releases. Series 1, they had like 4 stories, and Series 2 I think they had 6, and the same thing with Series 3. And then they changed the format of them and put them into box sets, with Series 4 being a 5-disc box set, I believe. Then 5 and 6 being 3-disc box sets. And unfortunately after that, the range stopped dead. It completely went away, and then we had the reboot of Gallifrey Intervention Earth.
Romana, tell me you haven't.
You are who my Romana will become.
The two Romanas working together, saving Gallifrey. Exile her.
Now I'm sad to see this range not delivering more as it did back in the day, as now Gallifrey Enemy Lines has been delayed. If it's May 2016, they were supposed to come out February 2016, so yeah, pushed away quite a bit it is. It looks so good, Gallifrey, back in its early time with the box sets and the single releases. Really political storytelling, and that really looks like it's going to be up my alley. It continues the story of 2 of my favourite 70s companions, being Lalla Warder, Romana 2. I personally prefer Romana 1 more, but yeah, Romana 2 still a great companion. It's nice to see her playing the president of Gallifrey, and she gets a really different approach to the character, as now she's the president of Gallifrey, so she has to have that level of authority in her character, and we saw that quite a bit in the TV series, like keeping the Doctor in line a little bit. But it's nice to see her give out full authority as well. You need to be a big strong leader to be the president of Gallifrey, so that's going to be very interesting. And as well, Leela. I've got a bit of taste of Leela, like post Invasion of Time, as she's quite skilled and educated in time. And yeah, she went to Victorian London to meet Jago and Lightfoot about time cracks within, it's in Series 3 of Jago and Lightfoot, and also stuck around with Series 4. What Leela's like in Jago and Lightfoot Series 3, 4 and 7, the second story within Series 7. I think it's going to be just the same of what we got in Gallifrey. Still keeping her traits like a savage, a hunter, still cannot resist a fight, but educated in different places such as time. Yeah, if you ask anyone who's got the Gallifrey stories, chances are 100% sure they will say it's a range you need to get into. And I've been told by that with people, I need to get in this range, and I really need to. So yes, Gallifrey I'm getting into next after Jago and Lightfoot. I really need to get into it. So that was the Gallifrey range, and the other ones I'm going to be discussing. There's one more I'm going to be discussing in detail, which you should know what it is, of course. And the other ones I'm going to briefly talk about is the Charlotte Pollard range, Vienna, Sarah Jane unit, and a bit about Torchwood. I've got a few things to say about Torchwood. Not really interested in the range, just got some interesting topics I want to discuss about it. But yeah, the one I'm going to be going through a lot of detail with, just like Beneath Summerfield and Gallifrey, because it's a very popular Big Finish range, and I can say right from the bat, it's one of my favourite Big Finish ranges of all time. I've been having such a blast and a thrill rollercoaster of a ride with this range. It is the Jago and Lightfoot range, which I am talking about. If you don't know who Jago and Lightfoot are, you should know these two brilliant characters. They're from the TV story The Talons of Weng-Chiang, a very popular Tom Baker story, and I can say it's one of the best classic Doctor Who stories of all time. Doctor Who stories of all time. It's absolutely wonderful on all levels, and it makes a lot of sense that these two characters get their own spin-off range. Not only that Talons of Weng-Chiang is a brilliant and perfect story, but Jago and Lightfoot as characters are absolutely fantastic. And Jago and Lightfoot didn't really interact until very late within the story, The Talons of Weng-Chiang. Around about part 5, I would say, so yeah, quite a while. But yeah, they get their pilot introduction into Big Finish with the Mahogany Murderers. And yeah, I would say that's a great start for the range, and not only that, for Companion Chronicle. They are so wonderful on Big Finish, and hearing them in that Companion Chronicle, it's just an absolute delight.
We have defeated dangerous denizens of the demonic darkness together, investigated infernal incidents, cracked complex conundrums.
And we have had dinner together on the odd occasion.
And yes, after that wonderful pilot episode by Andy Lane, we then enter the almighty Jago and Lightfoot series, starting with Series 1. And now, this box set is on offer permanently on the Big Finish website for £20, which is a great move for Big Finish. This is what happened with my Jago and Lightfoot journey. I got Jago and Lightfoot Series 1 at Day of the Doctors. I didn't listen to it, because I wanted to get the Mahogany Murderers. Listen to that, then I entered to Series 1, because you do need Series 1. So you do need the Mahogany Murderers for Series 1, especially the Similarity Engine. And I've re-listened to Series 1 and I loved it even more on my second go. Series 1 is a great rollercoaster of a ride, and then you want to get the next box set. This was what my journey went through. Got Series 1, I wanted to get Series 2. Series 2 concluded, I want to get Series 3, Series 4, Void Stories. I just wanted to keep on going and getting them. I've only had really one average story from this range, and the rest have been good to brilliant to fantastic to unbelievably good. And yet it only gets better when Series 1 concludes. When I got to Series 2, I just fell in love. Series 2 is one of the most perfection box sets, and one of the best things I have ever experienced. That's like up here. Jago and Lightfoot Series 2. I love it. All the stories are great, and I've heard the Ruthan inheritance over time. Some of its negatives are still there, but in that box set, only the negatives lie in that little story, just like one negative. And the rest of it is utterly perfect. I love the set. I love it more than Dark Eyes. We start off with Lightfoot and Sanders in that one, and you can check my review out with Series 2 if you want to. And yeah, the rating has increased from a 9 out of 10 since I did that review and re-listen to it. Series 2 gets better and better for me the more I listen to it. It gets almost absolutely everything right. Jago and Lightfoot do a hell of a lot to do in it. They have some fantastic character dialogue and interactions, and Justin Richards plays around with the characters very well within the first story. Really looks at the character's strengths, especially with Jago being very determined and Lightfoot very clever, no one to underestimate. So the main characters were dealt with very good, and Ellie had a very nice and dark overarching thing within the series, and we have one of the best series villains of all time. I love this villain. Gabriel Sanders, played by David Collins. Extremely sinister, and he really gets under your skin, he does, when he talks. He's got a really intimidating laugh. Everything to make a fantastic villain. He's creepy, you don't want to mess with him. He's intimidating, he's sinister, he's devious. He's got all the traits to be a fantastic villain.
You're wise to back away. The insects and beetles, the worms and the lice, they follow me because they know that I bring death. And, like me, they feed on death.
And yeah, all four of the stories are good. Lightfoot and Sanders is one of the best things I've ever listened to. It gets everything right. Necropolis Express is a very dark story, really dark twists in it, especially what's going on with Ellie's character. Then we have the Theatre of Dreams, a very experimental and I say light-hearted touch in the series now. It was calming down all that dark storytelling we've had in Lightfoot and Sanders and Necropolis Express, but then when that experimental clever story ends, which was written by Jonathan Morris, then it kicks off the dark storytelling again. It's really well built up with Ellie's storyline, Gabriel Sanders' build-up. It gets absolutely everything right, it does. The only problem I have with it, it's just a slight problem, I wanted Sanders to enter the Ruthen Inheritance earlier. That's my only gripe with it, and that's it. Everything else is spot on perfect. Yeah, it's one of my favourite things I've ever listened to and ever experienced ever. That's why it's such a strong release for it, and it goes over a 9 out of 10 now, which I rated in my review. And then when it gets to Series 3 and 4, it really does widen out the storytelling now. Series 3 has it's more branched out, more ideas, experimental going on. Especially in Chronoclasm and the Man at the End of the Garden. Very interesting and odd story by Matthew Sweet, and in Chronoclasm you've got things like World War I aircrafts and things coming from the future, entering from the time cracks. And Series 4, I could say just the same, more experimental stories going on, with the Lonely Clock dealing with time loops and that. What's the other one? Beautiful Things, that's a very interesting story as well, and with Mr. Kempston and Mr. Hardwick, which remind me of Evil, Lauren and Hardy, but like each other. Yeah, I'll talk about Series 4 later on because I'm going to be reviewing that. And then we had the 2 Voyage stories for special releases, and then back to the normality with the box sets. And I haven't got to Series 5 yet, I don't have it, and I'm grudging to get it. And yeah, we got on up to the mighty Series 10, and they're still going on. Yeah, Big Finish said they would just continue doing Jago and Lightfoot as long as they're happy with Trevor Baxter and Christopher Benjamin doing it, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop. And we have Series 11 done and dusted and ready for release in April 2016, and Series 12 in preparation and in the works. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend picking and choosing from this range, as it is so much more better when you do it in order. It feels like a great journey you're going through from start to finish. It's great. I picked up Series 10 and listened to it because I wanted to know about this cliffhanger. I didn't want to wait for about a couple of months to pick up Series 9 and lead into Series 10 to find out what that cliffhanger was. I didn't want to do that, I just wanted to know what it was. So yeah, I don't really recommend picking and choosing from this range. You can if you want to, but I've got my reasons why, because I don't really do this stuff. Especially not Series 10, because there's a lot of references to past box sets and past characters you may not have heard of. You might get a bit lost, like who the hell is this? Sibelius Crow. If you've got Series 10 of the box sets, then you won't know who on earth is Sibelius Crow. See, you might get what I mean. There's some things you might not get, like character plots back in Series 9, like Luke Betterman from Series 9. I don't have Series 9 and not really familiar with his character, so you see what I mean. So yeah, that was the Jago and Lightfoot range. I've been praising it a lot now, and I'm going to say it for the final time. Pick up Series 1, add it to your Christmas list. It's a magnificent journey. And once you get Series 1, also pick up the Mahogany Murderers, don't forget that. You want to get Series 2, Series 3, 4, Voyage, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You just want to get the whole range. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. It's so addicting. One of the most best and consistent Big Finish ranges. Whew, gonna need a break after that. Non-stop talking about Jago and Lightfoot goodness. Well, it really does deserve it. It does praise from me, because it's really good. Anyway, I'm gonna briefly talk about some other ranges, just a brief discussion on them. Some other ones. I'll talk a bit about Torchwood. The reason why I'm not getting into Torchwood is it doesn't intrigue me. I'm not really a big fan of Torchwood. And they started out with these character drama stories, like character pieces. Not really something up my alley. Bit like the Companion Chronicles a little bit, I've been told. I don't have them, so I don't know. But it looks like they are a bit of Companion Chronicles, maybe bits of narration, I don't know, I haven't listened to it. But they don't really intrigue me, character drama stories, like limited cast, like maybe 2 or 3 other supporting characters or something like that. The original idea did sort of intrigue me, of Torchwood featuring after Series 4. That was the original game plan, but they changed it. And I think in the future they will bring that up sometime soon, maybe after Series 2, maybe. We don't really know because they haven't really talked about it yet. Only that it was the original game plan of Torchwood range. So I think they will do it in the future. They're just really testing out and playing with the range. Give them a bit of time to get familiar with the range, and then they will probably branch out to something as continuation of the Torchwood series from Series 4. And for other ranges, we have Charlotte Pollard, following from her events in Blue Forgotten Planet. That quite intrigues me because I like Charlotte Pollard, Charlie. She's a nice character and I loved her with the 8th Doctor. I haven't really experienced her that much with the 6th Doctor, too much rather than 2 stories. The Red House and Patient Zero. But I like her. I'm quite interested in picking up Series 1. Maybe it has the Virons in, I believe, because they're on the front cover. So that quite interests me. Series 2's been pushed back into October 2016, which is crazy. It might be, she's just not, well, actually, yeah, she's had a baby not too long ago, so that's probably one of the reasons why. I'm not sure why Gallifrey was pushed back to May. Enemy Lines, I've no idea, maybe scheduling problems or something. Then we have Vienna, who started out in a monthly range story, which was the Shadow Heart, I believe it's called, or something like that. And now she has her own spin-off range called Vienna. She's had 2 box sets right now. Doesn't really intrigue me, the range. I don't know too much about the character, only that she is a bounty hunter sort of character. So she's going to be rather strong and independent. And Series 3 I think is coming out in January or February next year as well. And we also have Iris Wildtime. Doesn't intrigue me, unfortunately. I'm not really a fan of Paul Magris's work. He goes for over-the-top comedy, fun. I do like some stories which is fun, but he goes a bit too far. I'm like by here of comedy, and Paul Magris's is like all the way over here. And I'm not really a fan of his stuff, unfortunately. He's not a bad writer, it's just not my cup of tea. And he is an acquired taste, not everyone will like his work. He's a bit like Matthew Sweet, for example. He has his acquired taste, and I'm a big fan of Matthew Sweet. Whereas some others will not be a fan of Matthew Sweet. It's just an acquired taste writer. And then for the last 2 ranges I'll briefly talk about, which do quite intrigue me, is the Unit series. Not talking about Unit Extinction, I'm talking about the Unit series before, featuring Nicholas Courtney. And yeah, it intrigues me, it does. It's a bit like Davros, £16 for all 4 of the stories. Can't argue with that really, so I may look into that. I've heard it's quite adult material, not Survivors level, for example, but it's just, it's got some adult stuff in there, not suitable for younger audiences. And Sarah Jane, that's another range which quite intrigues me, because who doesn't love Sarah Jane having her own stories? And a lot of people say they're actually pretty good, and it's quite of a underrated or unappreciated range. Not a lot of people actually have these releases, and I like to change that. I like to dive into the range, as I love Sarah Jane Smith. So that was my discussion and introduction to the spin-offs created by Big Finish. I've discussed a few of them, and some of them I went into heavy detail with, like Beneath Summerfield, Gallifrey, and Jago and Lightfoot. You can tell these 3 are the biggest out of the bunch of the spin-offs. Yeah, a lot of people really appreciate and love these ranges. So yeah, I'd say definitely check out them. It's a great start for spin-offs, especially Jago and Lightfoot, because I have really experienced the range and it's well worth it. The recommendations I would make is definitely Jago and Lightfoot Series 1, absolutely, for £20. And if you can find it for cheap, I recommend the Worlds of Doctor Who. And it gives you a taste of each of the spin-offs. So you have a taste of the Jago and Lightfoot series with Mind Games, have a taste of Countermeasures with the Racina process. We have the Unit series, which I haven't really discussed about. That's the Unit Vault, not the Unit series featuring Nicholas Corney. It's a completely different series from the Companion Chronicles. This is Tales from the Vault and Mastermind. So you may be interested in that one. And then we have Second Sight, which is the one from the Gallifrey series, featuring Louise Jameson, Lalla Ward, and Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor. So those are two I would recommend to get into the spin-offs. Jago and Lifer because it's that brilliant, and Worlds of Doctor Who to get a taste of some of the really big spin-offs out there which Big Finish have been producing. So thank you very much for watching my introduction to the spin-offs. Hope some of them intrigue you, and I'll see you for the next one. Have a good one and take care.